Hi, it's Carly McAvoy. I'm talking about the second half of the credit card problem. So we already talked about what's on this page. So now what we're going to do is go down and look at what happens when you have an original balance on May 1st and then you make a payment, you would subtract. But if you charge something, you would add. That should make sense because your balance is going to go down if you make a payment and it's going to go up if you make a charge. So what you want to do is figure out the average daily balance. And to do that, you have to figure out the balance each day of the month. So the original unpaid balance that we're bringing forward is $1,350. And we say that that happens for 7 days because starting on May 1st was the first day of the billing cycle and it goes up to May 8th. 8 minus 1 is 7. So for 7 days we had this balance. So we would multiply that balance times 7 and get $9,450. Then on May 8th, they made a payment. And so when you make a payment, it brings it down. So they took the payment and they subtracted off the payment. So the balance was actually lower on May 8th. And that lasted for 2 days until they made a charge. So for 2 days, the balance was $1,100. 1,100 times 2 is $2,200. Then they bought something. I can't remember what it was, but it went up. So now we look at when did the next time they bought something was May 20th. So for 10 days, this $1,475 was the balance on their credit card. So that times 10 gives us $14,750. I'm not really rounding off to 00 here. It just happens to be. I would leave on any cents out to the hundreds, 23 cents, 41 cents, whatever. Then on the 20th, they bought something else, and that bumped it up again, adding on to the $14.75, and that lasted for 8 days from the 20th to the 28th. So then we take this balance and we multiply it times 8, and then finally we say, well, and now till the next billing cycle, we had this balance on there. On the 28th, they bought something and it bumped it up. And then how many days was that? Well, notice that it's to the 31st, and if we took 31 minus 28, that would be 3. But the billing cycle starts on the 1st, June 1st. So we actually have to add an additional day on that. So it's 31 minus 28 plus that 1 day for the new billing cycle to start. So that leaves 4 days at that unpaid balance. So that left 4 times this amount. And then after you have all those amounts, you add them all together, and that gives you your total balance. And then you take that number and you divide by the number of days in the pay cycle, and that was 31 from the 1st until the 31st. So there's 31 days in May. You take that and divide by 31, and that gives you your average daily balance. Now in this problem, it said there is an interest rate of 1.3%. We're going to change that to a decimal by moving that decimal point over 2 places. And then we take our average daily balance and we multiply it by 1.3%, which is 0.013 as a decimal. And that gives us the interest that is going to be charged on that account. So moving forward, what are we going to have on our new bill? We're going to have the balance we had at the end of the month, which was $1,597.80, and adding on the interest that they tacked on. And that gives us our new balance. Now, because this balance exceeds $360, the customer has to make a minimum payment that is 1/36 of that balance. And to find 1/36, we just divide by 36. And that gives us $45. Now, I don't know what that actually came out to be, but if it was $34.01, they would round up. They always round up to the next highest dollar because they don't want to lose their 2 cents or whatever the minimum they have coming. They're just going to always take that up to the next highest dollar. They don't round down, they round up. So we're always going to have a whole number for that part. And those are the questions you're going to answer for that last activity. You can go on in the Canvas page. I go back and have you kind of sum up. I go up and sum up how that works, so you can read that through that if you'd like. But your answers are going to be that, and then that interesting scenario that we talked about the $12,300 is what they would have paid on that $5,000 credit card if they just made the minimum payment every month. So don't do that. All right, have a fantastic time, and I'll see you next day.